welcome to the Poetry Project. I am Simone White. I'm the coordinator / curator of the Monday night series, and I'm so happy to see the room so full of people. It's really wonderful and gratifying that you've all come out to see Patrizia Cavalli. I'd also like to thank Gini Alhadeff for this wonderful opportunity for the project. Before we get started, I'll tell you a few things about our programming this week. Wednesday, in the Wednesday night series, Anne Boyer and Matthias Wegener will be here. On Friday, Tracy McTague and Kat Teich will be here. I also want to say that today is the very last day of the Poetry Project's membership drive, and you get a bonus of $45 for joining at the $50 level, bumped up to the $95 level, at which level you get into every event free for the year. So think about it. I did it. Okay, so I will first just introduce Patrizia, and then I will turn the entire evening over to you, gratefully. Patrizia Cavalli was born in Todi, Umbria, and published her, I won't be able to pronounce any of these words, her first collection of poems, Le Mi Poésie non, can I skip over the words? Oh no, in 1974. Try it. This is the first selection of her poems to appear in English since the 1998 Exile Editions volume published in Canada, My Poems Will Not Change the World. In Italy, her readings attract high and enthusiastic attendance, and Poesy is in its 16th printing. The long poem La Guardiana, included in that collection, was also published in 2005 as a separate volume by Notte Tempo, as was La Patria. Cavalli has translated Shakespeare's The Tempest, Othello, and A Midsummer Night's Dream in verse, Moliere's Amphitryon, and Oscar Wilde's Salome. Giulio Gino di Editore has published Le Mi Poesie non cambieranno il mondo, Il Cielo, Poesie, the previous two titles reissued along with a collection of new poems. This is really hard. In addition to poetry, Patrizia Cavalli has written several radio plays, Sotto non c'è niente, an essay on Frida Kahlo, Flighty Matters, 5 poems and a story on 6 pieces of attire, and Al cuore fa bene far le scale, a book of songs with a CD. She was made Chevalier de l'Ordre des Arts et des Lettres by the French government in 2003, won many of Italy's most prestigious literary prizes, including the Viareggio and the Pasolini, and has lived in Rome since 1968. Please welcome Patrizia Cavalli.
It hates the podium, so...
Yes, I have to be outside. Thank you to everybody, to Gini, particularly Gini Alhadeff, which has been working for 3 or 4 years, 5 years, translating my poems, most of my poems. And also thank you to all of the other poets, which so nicely and with generosity and enthusiasm, they translate some other poems of mine. And I'm very happy to be here with all of these nice people, and I want to see them.
So there will be a few poets reading from the translations that they made for this book, and they are here tonight. And starting off is Geoffrey Brock, fresh from Fayetteville, Arkansas. He recently edited a wonderful anthology of Italian poetry. Geoffrey.
Should we explain something? We are going to read in this way. Since I think that it would have been too boring to have a double reading of each poems and too long, each poet and translator will read some poems which are translated, and I will read only some of them, not all.
So, in Italian.
In Italian. So first there will be English and then there will be Italian.
And also we will have 2 disembodied poets reading, who couldn't physically be here tonight. One is Jorie Graham, and she had a little accident, so she read, she taped some of her poems on Saturday, and the other is Mark Strand, and he read some of the poems that he translated 2 nights ago, and I taped them, and we'll be playing those as well.
Thank you, Gini. So as Patrizia said, I'm just going to read some translations, and then she's going to read some of them also in Italian after I read the English. And as you'll see, most of them don't have titles, so I'm just going to read them, and then we'll be a little tag team. I comb my hair to unwind. Ready or not, here I am. Behind the bottle, the cat's whiskers. I'll send off those references later. I put on a hat, look in the mirror. I'm expecting a visit, expecting the doorbell to ring. Those sleepy, dark, lovely eyes. But no love talk, I can't take it. As for love, I just want to make it.
Per riposarmi mi pettino I capelli. Chi ha fatto, chi non ha fatto farà. Dietro la bottiglia i baffi della gatta, le referenze le darò domani. Ora mi specchio e mi metto il cappello, aspetto visite, aspetto il suono del campanello. Occhi bruni, belli, addormentati, ma d'amore non voglio parlare, l'amore lo voglio solamente fare.
But first we must free ourselves from the strict stinginess that produces us, that produces me on this chair in the corner of a cafe, awaiting with the ardor of a clerk the very moment in which the small blue flame of the eyes across from me, eyes familiar with risk, will, having taken aim, lay claim to a blush from my face, which blush they will obtain. If you knocked now on my door, and if you took off your glasses, and I took off mine, which are like yours, and then if you entered my mouth unafraid of kisses that are not like yours, and said to me, my love, is everything all right? That would be quite a piece of theater.
Se ora tu bussassi alla mia porta e ti togliessi gli occhiali e io togliessi i miei che sono uguali e poi tu entrassi dentro la mia bocca senza temere baci diseguali e mi dicessi amore mio, ma che è successo? Sarebbe un pezzo di teatro di successo.
To get out of prison, do you really need to know what wood the door is made of? The alloy of the bars, the precise hue of the walls? Becoming so expert, you might grow too fond of the place. If you really do want out, don't wait so long. Leave now. Maybe use your voice. Become a song. Don't count on my imagination. No, don't count on that. I won't preserve you. Won't put you on the shelf till winter. I'll open you now and swallow you whole.
Non affidarti alla mia immaginazione, non ti fidare, io non ti conservo, non ti metto da parte per l'inverno, io ti apro e ti mangio in un boccone.
The streets are hot, the voice is in the way. It's March now, March again, like it was yesterday. The dead are advancing, indeed vanishing. Too many dead, in fact, and not even a war on. Dead because we die. Isn't it amazing that one evening, sliding the bread into its paper sack, I start all over with the same old speech, reopen the repertory, raise the curtain to find time standing still, not ever passing. Nothing has passed. The past doesn't exist. Born actors never can forget their parts. And this will be the last one that I will read. always wanting to understand. You can't. You have to yield. You have to retreat. You have to do what cats do when they crouch. That shudder of muscles contracting before they hurl themselves toward some prey or other, maybe playfully, maybe meaning business. Or when, in the fiercest kabuki, they confront a rival and the whole universe distills into a single-minded, millimetric advance. And then, without warning, perhaps because things are looking bad, the excuse is always some fly or gnat discovered in their vicinity. They look around, pretend to be distracted. What has this to do with them? It was hardly serious. But who knows, maybe they really do get distracted.
Sempre voler capire, non si può. Bisogna cedere, bisogna ritirarsi, bisogna fare come fanno i gatti quando s'acquattano i muscoli in un fremito contratti prima di scagliarsi verso una qualche preda, che sia per gioco o che sia roba seria, o quando in ferocissimo kabuki affrontano il rivale e l'universo intero allora si concentra in un assorto e millimetrico avanzare e poi senza preavviso, forse perché si sta mettendo male, la scusa è sempre una mosca o un moscerino che si ritrova dalle loro parti, guardano in giro, si fingono distratti, loro che c'entrano, mica era sul serio. Ma chissà, forse si distraggono davvero.
David Shapiro, the great New York poet, is here. New York and American poet, and he will read Kenneth Koch's poem. That is a translation that was done many years ago, and Patrizia will read it in Italian. Right?
I will read two poems and then see. Do we start with Kenneth Koch or we finish with Kenneth?
We'll start.
As you like.
A little poem by Kenneth. Kenneth has a wonderful long poem, too long for this, but you should all look it up. It's a conversation with Patrizia, which is a very comical, but also very serious John Donne-like work, and she shines through it. Today, I want to read you this three-line poem by Kenneth. The Moroccans with the carpets seem like saints, but they're salesmen. And today I made the mistake of saying the Moroccans with the carpets seem like salesmen, but they're saints. That's a little transposition. Shall we read another? Eating a Macintosh apple. Eating a Macintosh apple, she showed me her crumpled lips, and afterwards she didn't know what to do. She couldn't even discard that small mangled thing that more and more turned yellow in her hand. And daylight's the time to get drunk, when the body still waits for surprises, from light and from rhythm, when it still has the energy to invent disaster. I'd love to hear that in Italian, actually.
We are not supposed to read that. If you want, I can read it, but if you want to read it.
I'd love to hear it.
Mangiava una mela Macintosh e mi mostrava labbra spiegazzate e non sapeva più neanche cosa fare, non riusciva neanche a buttare quel piccolo maciullamento che sempre più gli si ingialliva in mano. È di giorno che bisogna ubriacarsi, quando aspetta sorprese dalla luce e dal movimento, quando possiede energie per inventare un disastro.
You've heard a poem, As It's on Its Way. This I love. It's by Patrizia, not by Sappho, but it's just so beautiful. Just hearing a verb that sounds true to me, I feel my blood spurting towards salvation, like coming home and finding the merciful, fresh sheet. Perfect poem.
Anche questa non era prevista, non la posso dire, perché in italiano, sorry, speaking in Italian. Solo a sentire un verbo che mi sembri vero, sento corrermi il sangue alla salvezza, come tornare a casa e ritrovare pietosa freschezza di lenzuola.
And these are all really written by Patrizia, but also with Gini Alhadeff, without whom my Italian is a few phrases. My father was always saying, lasciate ogni speranza voi cantate, and maybe some Montale. So I read another poem in English. I walked full of myself.
Yes.
I walked full of myself and very strong, crossing the bridge disdainfully, tough diamonds sculpting the looks, taut, tight, black, cruel. Why should I care, I told myself, and you, don't you dare even touch me. Behind two crazy old women, I slowed down and overtaking one, discovered myself between a woman weighed down by talking and another silently walking. Then with untouched fury, I went forward past those lost, lurching impediments. Suddenly a girl appeared at the streetlight across from me, a beggar. One in front of me, the others behind. The light wasn't green, so I looked at them. I complicated my sight. I was in the distance, but weakness made my legs go white.
Tocca a me. No, Piena di me, gagliarda, camminavo, sprezzantemente oltrepassavo il ponte, diamante duro che ritagliava sguardi, tirata, asciutta, nera, crudelissima. Ah, che mi importa, mi dicevo, e tu prova a sfiorarmi. Dietro due vecchie pazze rallentavo e superata l'una mi trovai tra quella che parlando si ingombrava e l'altra che in silenzio andava avanti. Poi con furore intatto scavalcai quegli smarriti intralci barcollanti, ma d'improvviso comparve una ragazza al semaforo opposto, mendicante, una di fronte, le altre alle mie spalle. Mancando il verde decisi di guardarle. Ero distante, ma complicai il mio sguardo e debolezza mi sbiancò le gambe.
Wonderful poem. As if I have a way to judge. There's a poem, My Landscape, which I thought was limitless, became disassembled and put back together again. It gave me the illusion of always new, most intricate forests, of dense meadows, ruffled and unexpected. Now having reached the edge, I can see a closed little vegetable garden, walked on and bare, suffocating perhaps too much care. And so, bare myself, I'll go into the unbroken world, even though I fear its crashing noise. Let it spread over me, I sweat and feel lost, lost to myself, a greengrocer to me. What's the use of that? I'm the stranger finally surrendering and penetrable. I give myself up? I offer myself? No. In fact, I pick up strange grasses I'd never seen before that I will not render for scientific catalogs. I'll only sniff them. Perhaps I'll eat them, poisonous, intoxicating, or ineffectual. Who cares? Even this late, I open to my new audacity. An open field, I'd always been invited. I could have gone there, why didn't I? Even though, if I think of it, yes, I remember now, I'm fairly certain I'd been there before.
Then there is another one you should read.
Okay.
Then I read it in Italian.
And you should just get the book and read them all. Love Was Winning Me.
Yeah.
I'd like to read it. Yeah, it's beautiful. Love was winning me over. It didn't win my strength because I wasn't strong. I was weak, defeated. Love gripped me. It might have been strong, but it wasn't. It wasn't strong love, but lordly. Read that? Okay. Here we had to, Gini says that buono buono means goody goody. And I simply say that it's the only time goody goody appears in a poem in the last century, I think. I became good, and like a goody goody, I took unlove out to pasture. Go on, eat this up, I'd say. It'll fatten you up. As for that, don't touch it. It'll empty you out. To give a good example, I myself got fat, and both of us much satisfied, placidly occupied the days and the seasons. But then everyone knows, peace does you in, fat and undone. It's really the end, in the summer especially. And I think I've dropped a part of this poem. That's what they meant by Homer nods. Well, I have. Thank you.
Manca un'altra parte, ma adesso la dico in italiano, serve in Italia. Dice la spartissima. I said again, David Shapiro. Diventai buona e buona facevo pascolare il disamore. Su, mangia questo, gli dicevo, che ti ingrassa. No, quello non toccarlo, che ti svuota. Per dargli il buon esempio io stessa mi ingrassai e tutti e due molto soddisfatti occupavamo placidi i giorni e le stagioni. Ma poi si sa, la pace ti sfinisce, grassi e sfiniti, questo è proprio il colmo d'estate, soprattutto l'estate ardimentosa. Come lo sciolgo, come lo anniento, quel parassita torpido che ormai si è abituato a credersi il padrone? Venite, predatori, mangiate le sue carni, fatele a pezzi, lui si è preso sul serio, distruggetelo. Io no, fingevo, io posso dimagrirmi quando voglio, guardate, sono già magra.
Now we have the Phantom Poets, and we begin with Mark Strand, and I believe Patrizia will read after some, right? Okay, so I will go over to these recordings are very rough, and the reason is that I did them. Tu vuoi cominciare, Patrizia?
Io?
O comincia lui?
Comincia lui.
Sì.
A narcissist no more, vanity gone. What's left? A mix of waiting and headaches. Thoughts fail me. I drag my feet. My latest sin, sanctity.
Non più narcisa, la vanità perduta, cosa mi resta? Un ibrido di attese e mal di testa. Il pensiero mi manca, il passo arranca, questo nuovo peccato, la santità.
I have a feeling that English is at a distinct disadvantage. I am the mild and obedient nurse to this worn-out love. I care for it, cradle it, hold my temper. I satisfy its few needs, make good dinners, go to bed. Then all of a sudden I say to myself, what if I killed her?
Palia, mite, pensosa sono di questo amore fiacco. Lo curo, lo trastullo e vado... No, lo curo, lo trastullo e non mi arrabbio. Ecco, palia, mite e pensosa sono di questo amore fiacco. Lo curo, lo trastullo e non mi arrabbio. I suoi pochi bisogni io soddisfo. Preparo buone cene e vado a letto. Poi d'improvviso dico, ma solo tra me e me, e se l'ammazzo?
When, thanks to the virtues of wine, I let go of solid memory and a certain pleasure seems almost real to me, having secretly picked up a scent in the john of a friend who uses that scent, and I'm about to park, and I say to myself, go on, move, drive around the city, you won't find anything, but maybe you'll see a light on. You're in love, aren't you? So act like somebody in love. Don't people in love drive up and down streets like crazy? But then, because I found easy parking, I stopped. While I'm stopped, comfortably stopped, I imagine you and the helpless delay of my love as mine.
Bravo Marco, però io mi posso mettere in piedi?
Sì.
Quando per i pregi del vino io mi dimentico della memoria solida e lievemente possibile mi appare quel mio piacere per il profumo assorbito di nascosto nel cesso di un amico che usa quel profumo e sto per parcheggiare e mi dico avanti, muoviti, va per la città, non troverai niente, però forse vedrai una luce accesa, sei innamorata e falli innamorata. Gli innamorati non vanno forse come pazzi su e giù per una strada? E poi mi fermo perché ho trovato facile il parcheggio. Allora ferma, morbidamente ferma, ti assumo mia, docile ritardo del mio amore.
Oh, really? She's with somebody. So she's with somebody. Is she really with somebody? I guess she's with somebody. So she is actually with somebody. Well then, she is. She's with somebody. So you're saying she's with somebody? Okay then, she's with somebody.
This I have to read it because it's very difficult. It's true. Ah sì? Si è fidanzata? Allora è fidanzata. Davvero è fidanzata? Dunque si è fidanzata. Ma è proprio fidanzata? Beh, insomma è fidanzata. Dici che è fidanzata? Va bene, è fidanzata.
Those isotopes don't want to drink. My thyroid I do not want to lose. Out of kindness it fell ill to defend me from other more vicious unnatural attacks. It shut its doors and in autarky, sorry, too madly it developed. And now, modernly ungrateful, I should suppress it as an illness. No, my friends, I do not betray. If they made a mistake out of too much zeal, even if that were to make me well, and besides, what a pity to die perfect.
Io quegli isotopi non li voglio bevere. La mia tiroide non la voglio perdere. Per gentilezza si è ammalata, per difendermi da altri più vili attacchi naturali, ha chiuso le sue porte e in autarchia si è troppo follemente sviluppata e adesso io, modernamente ingrata, dovrei sopprimerla in quanto malattia? No, i miei amici io non li tradisco se hanno sbagliato per troppa solerzia e fosse pure che così guarisco. Poi che peccato morire perfetta. The last one.
Therapy. Oh, give me a room in a hotel. A little room in a hotel. Yes, a room in a hotel. A little room in a hotel. And so it goes without end, until bored and exhausted, I fall half dead on any old bed, even unmade, even dirty.
Datemi una stanza in un albergo, una stanzetta in un albergo, una stanza in un albergo, sì, una stanzetta in un albergo, e via così di seguito, senza fermarsi mai, finché annoiati o esausti si cade tramortiti sopra un qualunque letto, anche se sfatto e lercio. Abbiamo finito.
I think Sandy will read now, if you would. This is J.D. McClatchy, who's made some beautiful translations for this book, and has also very kindly agreed to read some of Jonathan Galassi's, who couldn't be here.
Thank you very much. About 20 years ago, I was putting together an anthology of contemporary poetry from around the world, and knew that I wanted to have Cavalli in the book. I'd known her work and had met her and admired it no end. And in the little head note to the selection, I wrote what I thought of the work at the time. She writes as if from inside a spell of passion and betrayal, obsession and denial, threat and defiance. The narcosis of love. Her style is hard-bitten, on the edge. The circumstances of a Cavalli poem, although private, are never merely personal. They reach out to larger, more abiding and vulnerable realities. In that way, when she writes of loss, she is writing about mortality. When she writes of love, she is writing about life. I think what I missed then in myself in reading her work, and what has become more and more apparent as in the 20 years since, is how much wit and tenderness and amplitude there is in these poems, which are happily gathered for all of us now in this book. I want to read a few of these. An occasion like this is one of the very few times that I feel sorry for English, which seems so much the mangy mongrel next to the sleek greyhound of Italian. But here are a few short poems. This, I assume, about that mongrel. You no longer play, you only eat, yet your neck is so thin, and you are covered with fleas. Onto your sea, my ship set sail. Into that sea I sank and was born. I am struck by how strange a season it is, and by how my body feels the cold. From figure to figure, love migrated. Now it stops and shows itself. I recognize it in that crimpled current on your forehead, small waves alike and contrary. And on the surface, a kind of awe moved, surging through whatever seemed rigid and gave way, was transformed into tenderness. A short poem. What is lost is returned to me. What is far away is near me today. Whether you're here, wherever you are, doesn't matter today. Today I am held within a honeyed dome that dampens and mingles the surging skein of sounds. I am inside, and the outside enters me. And one more of these. Very simple love that believes in words, since I cannot do what I want to do, can neither hug nor kiss you. My pleasure lies in my words, and when I can, I speak to you of love. So, sitting with a drink in front of me, the place filled with people, if your forehead quickly creases in the heat of the moment, I speak too loudly, and you never say, don't be so loud. Let them think whatever they want. I draw closer, melting with languor, and your eyes are so sweetly veiled. I don't reach for you, No, not even the softest touch, but in your body, I feel I am swimming, and the couch in the bar's lounge when we get up looks like an unmade bed.
Amore semplicissimo che crede alle parole, poiché non posso fare quello che voglio fare, non ti posso abbracciare né baciare, il mio piacere nelle mie parole e quando posso ti parlo d'amore. Così seduta davanti a un bicchiere in un posto pieno di persone, se la tua fronte si increspa veloce, io parlo ad alta voce nell'ardore, tu non mi dici fa meno rumore, che ognuno pensi pure quel che vuole, io mi avvicino sciolta di languore e tu negli occhi hai un tenero velame, io non ti tocco, no, neanche ti sfioro, ma nel tuo corpo mi sembra di nuotare e il divano di quel bar salotto quando ci alziamo sembra un letto sfatto.
Jonathan Galassi couldn't be here tonight, and it's one person who is really missing, I feel, because he is the one who published this book. He's been an enormous champion of Italian poetry in English for so many years now with his translations of Montale and even more difficult, Leopardi. But for him, I want to read 3 poems. Chair, stop being a chair. And books, don't you be books like that. They're there the way you left them, jackets sloughed. Too much matter, too much identity, each one the master of its form. They are what they are by themselves, and I see them separate, one by one, and I'm planted too like a little square for these objects, solid, single, frozen,